Axel.
Excel.
Okay, guys, we made it science.
Ashish bro, start with introduction, right? Brief introduction of the reason.
Okay. Okay. So, are we set to go?
Yes, we're ready.
Okay. Hello everyone. Good afternoon there. So यहाँ त evening छ है. So धेरै धेरै धन्यवाद सबैजनालाई to give me this opportunity to like share my experience and to invite my friend as a guest here to share some of his experience. My name is Ashish Sharma. I'm in United States right now. I recently completed my master's degree in computer science. Most of my focus, like you guys might have guessed, it's more on data science and machine learning. I try to learn and practice machine learning as much as I can. So I think that's why we are all the part of this AI community, and we should really and I'm really proud. So first of all, I really want to thank my co-organizers for setting up all this beautiful hall and for bringing you all people here. And so today I'm going to introduce my friend. So his name is Axel Magnuson. So he's a software engineer in Google. So he has a broad range of experience working in big data technologies and data science. So I thought, it will be a great opportunity for all of us to share some of his experience, what he has learned through his past work experience, and what it is to work in Google, and how does he look and learn about data science and AI in his day-to-day practices. So I'll just take some time and give it away to Axel to introduce himself, and we'll start from there.
That was a great introduction. I don't know what else there is to say. Hi, everyone. I'm Axel. Really great to meet you. Wow, there's a lot of you. Let's see. So my name's Axel Magnuson. I have been studying and practicing machine learning and some AI concepts for about 4 or 5 years now. I currently work at Google. I do not do AI for Google yet. I want to. Right now I work more in the big data space. I work on a product called Cloud Data Proc, which is a cloud hosted cloud cluster computing service.
Great. Are you done? Okay. So you guys might not have known, Axel has already visited Nepal in December 2016. So just to warm up the conversation, I would just like to ask him, how was his experience visiting Nepal, and how he felt about it.
I really loved Nepal. I'm very grateful that I got the chance to visit. Everyone was incredibly kind, and I felt welcomed into a lot of people's homes like I was their family. So that's pretty special. That's pretty cool.
Cool.
And the pani puri. I love I really enjoyed the pani puri, and you cannot find it in America.
Okay. That was in Chiton National Park, by the way. Okay. Great. So let's dive into some of your experience, in more detail about experience and career as a software engineer and big data practitioner and AI practitioner from your past works and at Google. So tell us a little bit more about your background in mathematics and machine learning, and how do you find a great interest in data science, and how do you practice data science, and in maybe building some projects, or working on your pet projects or at work. So how do you proceed, and how do you take these?
Sure.
Yeah.
So I started off studying mathematics in my undergraduate degree, and while I was doing that, I kept hearing about these things called neural networks. People were talking about, oh, they just made a neural network that did this, or they made a neural network that was the size of a cat's brain. I kept going like, wow, I want to learn more about those. And right as I was leaving my degree, I found out about the field of machine learning, and I went, geez, I wish I had heard of that at the beginning of my degree. But it actually prepared me very well for machine learning, because machine learning involves a lot of mathematics, and I felt that math can be very intimidating if you don't understand it thoroughly. And so I felt that when I started learning about machine learning, a lot of people were very intimidated and scared of the math, and I didn't mind. I said, okay, this is an integral equation. I know how to deal with this. So my mathematics background definitely supported me as I started learning about it. But that being said, I think that what helped the most was just trying things. Was getting, I think that nothing helped me more than just getting a hold of scikit-learn was what I was using at the time. I understand that it's not state of the art anymore. But, taking it, doing some real problems.
Right, but that's still something that you can get started with even today.
Yeah, I think the biggest trick is just finding something and getting started and starting to solve interesting problems, stuff that you find interesting. And then I ended up going back to get my master's degree in a machine learning related topic. I worked on language modeling and understanding. I tried to predict how popular a post on Twitter would become using language modeling.
Nice. Yeah, I quickly jumped into question answering, Axel. So I'd like to say we'll have around 5 to 10 minutes of question answering sessions after I am done asking a lot of questions to Axel. So sorry about that. So we'll continue on this. So great. So everybody today, including me, are really excited about the fact that a Googler is sharing his experience in front of us, right? So I'd like to take this opportunity to ask you about how does it feel like to be a Googler, and and a little bit about how do you perceive the role of Google in the advancement of AI or other set of tools and technologies that you're working on.
Sure. To answer the first question, working for Google is a very, very, very good job. It's very pleasant. It's a lot of fun. They pay you enough. And it's very challenging. It's very difficult, which I didn't expect. I'm used to being sometimes the smartest engineer in the room and feeling good about myself that way. But I had to drop my ego, because when you work for Google, everyone's smart. Even the lowest engineer is a genius. And so we try to work with each other with a lot of respect and a lot of integrity, so that we, knowing that anyone you talk to, it's not smart to disrespect them, because even if they're the lowest person at the company, they're probably very intelligent, probably did a lot to get there.
Right.
And then in terms of how Google is contributing to AI, I think that we are we have a strong belief that AI can improve the future, and we want to be the people to do it. We want to support that with really cool technology like TensorFlow to make it easier than ever for people to come up with their own machine learning models. And then we think that as you do, we want to build all the tools so that it makes it very easy for you to support them, because the truth is that AI is one little piece of a larger software system. And so if your AI is really good, it has to fit into an even bigger system. And so we're here to kind of help you do that.
Great. So, like maybe, there might be like a lot of people who might be, like including me, like we have dream of like working in Google or, bigger companies where you can, you can work your dream up, right? So, what do you want to suggest to people who are pursuing that dream? And then, what do you want to suggest in terms of how should you prepare and how should you get prepared for all the challenges up front?
Sure. I think that what's the best way to prepare for something like that? Don't be intimidated. I know a lot of people who don't have jobs at Google just because they're too afraid to apply. But also, like, you've got to be diligent. You've got to be very good at what you do, and that takes a lot of time, and that takes a lot of persistence. So pretty much the only way to get that kind of job there is to really love what you're doing enough to keep at it, for like a lot of years, like maybe a decade, maybe 8 years. And it involves a lot of education and a lot of study. And, just to share a little bit of my story, after I left my master's degree, I took a job that was minimum wage. It was like the lowest pay that they were legally allowed to give me, just because it was machine learning work, and I couldn't find much machine learning work at the time. And I knew that, if it was a cool project that, if I could be successful at, that would open more doors. So I think knowing what you like and pursuing it and constantly challenging yourself, like being okay with not knowing something and being curious enough to want to find out more, and not saying, oh, that has math, it's scary, but like someone thinks that's really valuable. I want to learn more about it. I want to learn how it works. I want to learn how to use it.
Cool. Yeah, that's a great way of putting everything together. So great. So so a couple of all my co-founders of AI Developers for Nepal are here, and they're working really hard in preparing all these contents for the workshop. So they are organizing this like 14 weeks of AI workshop for all the beginners and intermediate, and for all the people who already know some stuff in deep learning and machine learning. And I really have this respect for these guys and for the work they are really putting up for the community and for all of us there who are really willing to work. And I realized like there are a lot of we're seeing a lot of great enthusiasm towards technology and AI in Nepal, and students and young people, they are really willing to learn and share a lot of what they have learned. So, but like everyone else, you have to start somewhere and find a way to progress in your learning curve, right? And you have to progress it like really smartly and diligently. So what do you advise to the beginners in the AI and data science field? So how to perceive that AI and data science as goal, and how to pursue that?
Sure. Well, the good news is that there are more resources to learn AI and machine learning than there have ever been before. And a lot of really smart people, including some of my colleagues at Google, have been working to make AI very accessible. So you don't necessarily have to have a PhD in mathematics to write AI anymore. In fact, my first piece of advice would be not to be intimidated by the math, and know that just because it's there and you don't understand it, like, that's not necessarily a problem. The language around AI right now is overly mathematical when it doesn't always need to be. In terms of more practical tips, I think that I see a lot of value in starting on Kaggle. That's KAGGLE.com. That's an excellent learning resource as you're beginning to become better at specifically machine learning. It has a lot of content that's ready for beginners, and then it has a lot of hands-on challenges in the way of competitions. And you can actually form a couple groups within the deep learning AI community over there and compete on these challenges and see how you do. It would be a great way to share knowledge and learn from each other. I think Kaggle is a great place to start, and it has the upside of, if you do very well, if you submit a good enough model that you win the competition, which I've never done, but I hear some people do it, then there's usually some prize money involved. But it's a very good learning resource.
Yeah, and I'd say I'd also like to add on something on what you said. I've been there as an undergraduate student from Nepal, and I've experienced how it feels to be from third year student or fourth year student, and after you start working in different companies. Yeah, it's really, sometimes it becomes difficult in gathering out thoughts on what I really want to work on, and finding right people on right people about who are working on the similar field, who I can look upon and then say, okay, ask okay, you guys are working on this stuff that I want to work on, can you advise me, right? So I think with this community, what we really want to build is we want to have everybody to give someone that they would like to look up on, and then they might admire them, and then they can make this connection about, okay, so I really love what this particular person is working on, and then I want to go ahead and ask him or her how to achieve that and how to do that from ground up, right? I think the networking and connecting with each other, and also working on building small, working on very small, from the beginners level of learning the mathematical computation libraries in Python, or be it computational statistics, or just start from very small and work on very disciplined manner, and you guys will do great. So that was for beginners, and for I know that there are a lot of people who are already working on in a very good level and in more advanced level. So I'll just say try to make a portfolio of what you guys are working, right, properly, post your works in GitHub, or make some UIs that would reflect what you're working on, so that you can present it to whoever you want to do business in, or maybe you might want to job against it, right? So so just proper networking and proper documentation of what you're working on, and what you want to show when you want to look for jobs or do business with your work, what you're working on. So yeah, so moving ahead, so a tail question from the previous one. So, and can you little bit share about what are your personal steps in data science, and how do you like continuously learn on stuff, and how do you get motivated in learning the new technologies, or getting coping up with all these newer technologies around us?
I don't know. I really enjoy learning for myself. I'm a kind of greedy learner where I'll choose topics that I'm personally interested in and learn as much as I can about just that. And then get bored after a week and never touch it again. And I think the truth is that I kind of don't. There is so much information available about machine learning and AI that I've recognized that I cannot learn all of it. But I learn the stuff I'm interested in, and hopefully that makes me more useful to people. But it definitely takes it takes persistence. And this is just kind of my personality, but I work for 10 hours a day at Google, and I come home and I open up a tutorial or a little side project I'm working on, or a book, and I say, this is how I want to spend my evening. Like in America, we call that guy a loser. I have no life. But sometimes it's paid off.
Yep. I think like most of the time it pays off, because you can put it off in another way, like you're really motivated or you're really inspired in like whatever you're working on and whatever you're doing to meet your hobbies, like these special hobbies to be true, right?
I'm lucky enough to really enjoy learning about something that Google decided is valuable. So it's like my passion aligns with what other people think is valuable, and so I'm able to offer that as an employee.
Nice. So with all these advancements in with the application of AI in like different domains like healthcare or cybersecurity or agriculture, marketing, like you can just name it, and like there are lots of different domains that have been tossed up by AI, and we can be sure like almost all of the domains will be influenced or affected by development of AI, right? So but what do you think like the most influenced domains as of now, or where do you feel like AI would affect or influence to the most in different domains, like maybe 3 most influenced domains that you're really
sure. Like where has AI had the biggest impact in terms of I think advertising is huge.
Right.
Figuring out what advertisements to show to people has turned out to be very related to AI, and is a huge industry. The notion of like targeted advertisements. Social media is another big one, where I'm sure a lot of you are on Facebook, and I'm sure a lot of you have more friends posting stuff than can reasonably be seen. So Facebook has to come up with a way to show you the content they think you're going to like the most, and the content that's going to keep you coming back to Facebook as your go-to social network app. And so machine learning is crucial there. To take a slightly different tack, it's been very useful in agriculture in some ways. I think this is a little newer, but I've been reading about how it's been used to predict crop yields and understand how much food a country is going to produce in a year.
Right.
And that's been used to predict famine conditions and understand when an upcoming crisis is happening. Because, for example, this country can't grow potatoes because of parasites or something.
Right.
And then similarly, in the agricultural field, I've seen some interesting work in Africa where they're using machine learning to detect the health conditions of chickens and understand which ones need medical care, which looks really promising. And I think is, in a funny way, because we can monitor everything about an animal's life, if we own it, we're going to come up with some really innovative medical diagnostic applications through agriculture,
Right.
through stuff like thermal video feeds of chickens.
Right. Sure. Great. So, like there are lots of different arguments and conversations about super intelligence. Like, what if one day we have these super intelligent machines that surpass all the cognitive abilities of humans, right? And there are like these divided thoughts and arguments going around. So like, do you think what are your thoughts on how should these advancement of AI into future? I know like it's gonna be like a lot more of years for that to be realized in real life, but like just the high level thoughts on how do you perceive it, and what are your thoughts on it?
I don't know. I think it's a long way off. Like, there's a lot of steps in the middle that have to happen. For example, we have to be able to mimic it. We'll be able to mimic intelligence before we actually have intelligent machines. Like when you use Google Assistant on your phone, it talks like a human, but it doesn't really seem intelligent. You can't. It does some clever stuff, but we're a pretty long ways off from machines that can seem like they're intelligent creatures. Right now, we understand that there are these machines that can accept our commands via voice. But, that being said, I think it's really interesting. I have no idea, if humans are able to create an intelligence that's beyond their own. I have no idea what it would act like or be like. I think that we like to think of it as acting like a human or an animal or something that has a self-preservation drive that will try to defend itself when attacked, for example, but none of those rules necessarily apply. And I think that we all know people who are very smart but not very wise.
Right.
Who are incredibly intelligent in some ways, but maybe, don't think very philosophically or don't wonder about their own existence.
Right.
And so I think it's very possible to invent a machine that's way better than us at all sorts of things, but doesn't stop to really consider itself.
Cool. So I have like just a couple more questions, and then we'll go into Q&A session.
How are we doing on time?
We're good. Yeah. So about like the emerging businesses in Nepal and USA that are like more on data-driven businesses or AI-driven businesses. So do you think businesses from developed countries like USA and businesses from developing countries like Nepal have similar chances of advancements regarding the adoption of technology and market opportunities?
You're probably not going to like this answer, but no.
Okay. No, I mean,
I think that the world is fundamentally unfair in some ways, and businesses in Nepal are better at serving their own markets, and businesses in America are better at serving their own markets. In my experience, Nepalese businesses have struggled to serve other markets. There's a certain degree of like outsourced labor that happens. But, like I think, for example, there's a lot of really interesting apps and business ideas happening in India that Americans have never heard of and don't participate in. And I think that indicates that it's very difficult for businesses outside of America to break into it sometimes, especially when we have so many technology businesses in our own country trying to fill that space. I think that by the same token, Nepal is in a great position to serve its own needs better, and also you have a lot more cultural connection with India that you can leverage, and you can in many ways like serve the Indian market in a way that American companies really can't. So I think that I'm not sure that the opportunities are equal, but they're very different. I think that a lot of people in Silicon Valley in California are incredibly intelligent engineers who only try to solve problems for rich Americans on the West Coast. That's maybe something I shouldn't have said while I'm being recorded, but I really do think that from what I've seen of American technology companies, we are better at solving problems for rich people because that's where the money is.
Right.
And I think that neglects a huge part of the world that is asking for someone to help and come in and help serve their needs better. And I think there's a huge opportunity for Nepali companies to do that.
Yeah, I think the reason I, got it up was, since right now the ranges of technologies that we use, so like it's the globalization of or democratization of AI or any technologies, it's becoming like more common, and a lot of people from different countries, no matter where your geolocation is, so they have this accessibility through internet, and that way you get to have the equal opportunity in terms of like leveraging all those tools and technologies, right?
That's a very good point, where technology work is really special in that you can export it digitally. You don't have to you don't have to ship it out of a port. You don't have to put it on a train. You can work from Nepal and bring your services anywhere in the globe, and at the same time, there's so many learning resources and training resources that you have access to that used to not be available via the internet. So it's becoming more and more viable for people in Nepal to access the very proficient engineers and then be able to compete in a global market. And that's new, and that's really cool. I wouldn't go so far as to say it's equal, but it's an incredibly good opportunity.
Right. Okay.
I noticed that we have 6 minutes left on the clock. Do you want to answer some questions from the class?
Yeah, I think I have two more questions, and I think we can take like five more minutes.
Okay. My
That's
my
fine.
Zoom interface says that we have 6 minutes remaining meeting time.
Okay.
It's a free version, so we'll connect you again. No worries.
Oh, okay.
No time.
Okay.
Perfect.
Okay. Okay. No worries. So yeah, that's last questions in terms of like I know like how much you love programming languages, and how much you're really geeky about what kind of programming language you want to choose and you want to learn. So can you tell us a little bit about what have been your favorite programming languages or favorite big data technologies that you've been currently working on?
Ashish knows this about me, but you all don't. I have a crippling addiction to learning stupid programming languages that no one uses. But I really love it, and I keep doing it. I say this as a joke. I don't know. I have been learning a lot about some really interesting languages. Like one of my personal favorites is one called Rust. It's fairly new. It got started by the people who make Firefox a few years ago. It's very cool. It lets you solve really systems-oriented problems. So the kinds of problems you would usually solve with C or C++ that involve like memory management and like really close to the metal optimization. It addresses in these really cool ways that I've been having a blast with. And then that also led me to Haskell, Haskell. Still not sure I entirely understand it. It made me completely rethink how computation can be understood. It's also like the most difficult language I've ever encountered, and I hesitate to share it because it's kind of like I wouldn't wish it on anyone. It's this silly, difficult language written by a bunch of geeky mathematicians, but it's incredibly powerful, and I learned a lot by learning about it. So I'd recommend it to anyone who's looking for a challenge and likes math.
Cool. So we'll just wrap it up with some of your concluding remarks and some of the advices. Like I know that there are a lot of people from Nepal who wants to pursue graduate studies like masters or PhD in computer science, and like maybe some suggestions about how do you want them to get prepared for graduate studies before coming here, and before coming here and pursuing their degree in machine learning and data science or any big data technologies.
Sure. If you have the time to prepare, having a strong math background is a really good move. A lot of data science rests on the back of statistics and calculus, and understanding statistics at a very deep level is something that most people don't even want to do. I tell people, I'm like, I love statistics. I want to, I've spent half my life learning about it, and everyone says, oh, I hate statistics. I don't like statistics. It's like, that's great. That's awesome. That's my competitive advantage. I love it. It's a super boring subject to mostly well. That makes you an incredibly powerful engineer, or at least an incredibly powerful data scientist.
Nice.
And then, that's the main one.
Okay.
Alex and Ashish Axel and Ashish will send you the link again. So please wait for a minute.
Okay.
Sorry for the interruption.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. No worries. Yeah.